The excavation that changed everything. The morning sun cast long shadows across the excavation site on New Terra, humanity's newest frontier colony. Dr. Sarah Chen knelt beside a freshly exposed section of ancient stonework, her gloved hands carefully brushing away centuries of accumulated soil. The symbols carved into the weathered surface seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy that made her instruments spike with readings she had never seen before. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, adjusting her scanner for the third time. The carbon dating results consistently showed the same impossible age, 50,000 years, far older than any known human presence in this sector of the galaxy. Her young assistant, Kira Martinez, approached with another batch of artifacts. "Dr. Chen, you need to see these," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "The metallurgy reports came back. This alloy composition, it's not in any galactic database." Sarah took the tablet and scrolled through the analysis. Her breath caught in her throat. The metal showed signs of quantum-level engineering that current human technology was only beginning to understand. Yet here it was, buried beneath layers of geological evidence that placed it in an era when humans supposedly barely understood fire. Captain Marcus Torres, the colony's defense coordinator, approached their dig site with his usual measured stride. His weathered face carried the kind of concern that came from years of military experience. "Dr. Chen, we have incoming ships. 3 vessels, Zephyrian design. They're requesting permission to land." Sarah stood, dusting off her knees. "Zephyrians? Here? What do they want?" "They say they're an archaeological team. Apparently word of your discovery has spread beyond our colony networks." Marcus paused, his expression darkening. "They're claiming territorial rights over the espace IT based on some ancient treaty." The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy as master archaeologists and historians. Their crystalline ships glided through space with an elegance that spoke of millennia of technological refinement. Unlike humans, who had only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last few centuries, the Zephyrians had been exploring the stars for over 10,000 years. Within hours, the alien archaeological team had established their base camp adjacent to the human site. Scholar Vexstar, their lead researcher, was a tall, ethereal being with iridescent skin that shifted colors based on his emotional state. Currently, it displayed the cool blues and purples of intellectual superiority. "Humans," he said, his translator rendering his melodic language into crisp English. "Your enthusiasm for discovery is admirable, but this site requires expertise beyond your current capabilities. We have studied countless ruins across 1,000 worlds. Your species, while promising, lacks the historical context necessary for proper excavation." Sarah felt her jaw tighten. "With respect, Scholar Vexstar, this is a human colony world. We discovered this site and we've been conducting a systematic excavation for months." Vexstar's skin shifted to a patronizing shade of gold. "Young species often claim discoveries beyond their understanding. These ruins clearly predate your civilization by tens of thousands of years. They likely belong to one of the ancient precursor races we have spent millennia studying." "Then explain this," Sarah said, leading the Zephyrian team to her latest excavation area. She pointed to a section of wall where the mysterious symbols were most clearly visible. "Our linguistic analysis suggests these markings have structural similarities to ancient human languages, not just one, but several different human linguistic families." The Zephyrian scholar's skin flickered between colors as he examined the symbols more closely. His 3-fingered hands moved gracefully over a holographic interface that appeared at his touch. The device projected a 3-dimensional model of the symbol structure, rotating it slowly through various analytical filters. "Curious," Vexstar admitted. "These patterns do show unexpected similarities to your primitive writing systems. However, this is likely coincidence. Many species develop similar symbolic representations." Kira stepped forward, her youthful enthusiasm undaunted by the alien's dismissive tone. What about the genetic markers we found in the organic compounds embedded in the metal? The Zephyrian team exchanged glances, their skin colors shifting to indicate surprise and confusion. Scholar Vextar's translator remained silent for several moments, suggesting intense internal discussion among the aliens. Genetic markers? Another Zephyrian, identified as researcher Kelnara, asked. You found biological material in these artifacts? Sarah nodded, pulling up the analysis on her tablet. Trace organic compounds that survived the metallurgical process. When we ran them through our genetic databases, they showed clear matches to human DNA sequences. Not modern human DNA, but something older, more fundamental. The Zephyrian's skin colors began cycling through rapid patterns of blue, gold, and silver. What Sarah had learned indicated deep confusion and concern. Vextar's usual air of superiority had evaporated entirely. This is impossible, he said. Humans have only been spacefaring for a few hundred of your years. These ruins predate your entire recorded history. That's exactly what's bothering us, Sarah replied. Either our dating methods are catastrophically wrong, or human history is far more complex than we thought. Over the following days, the joint human Zephyrian team worked together with growing amazement and unease. Each new discovery challenged fundamental assumptions about galactic history. The deeper they dug, the more sophisticated the ancient technology became. They uncovered chambers filled with crystalline storage devices that hummed with barely contained energy. The power sources showed no signs of decay despite their incredible age. Most disturbing of all, many of the devices activated at a human's touch, but remained inert when handled by Zephyrians. Marcus Torres watched the proceedings with growing alarm. His military instincts told him that they were uncovering something that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. When he shared his concerns with Sarah during one of their evening briefings, she could only nod in agreement. The implications are staggering, she said, staring at the latest batch of artifacts. If humans really did build this place 50,000 years ago, then everything we know about our origins is wrong. The breakthrough came when Kira made a connection that had eluded everyone else. She was studying the symbol patterns when she noticed that they weren't just similar to human languages. They were a fusion of all human languages, including dialects that had only been discovered in the last 50 years. Dr. Chen, she said, bursting into the main research tent, I think I know how to read these symbols. They're not just like human languages. They are human languages. All of them, combined into a metalinguistic system. Using Kira's translation key, they began to decode the messages left by the ancient builders. The first complete passage sent shockwaves through both teams. Dr. Chen, she said, bursting into the main research tent, I think I know how to read these symbols. They're not just like human languages. They are human languages. All of them combined into a metalinguistic system. Using Kira's translation key, they began to decode the messages left by the ancient builders. The first complete passage sent shockwaves through both teams. To our children's children's children, who will return to these stars when the wheel turns full circle. We who built wonders among distant suns leave these markers for you. Remember that the path forward sometimes requires looking back. The seeds we planted will bloom in their season. Scholar Vextar's skin had turned completely white, a color Sarah had never seen a Zephyrian display. This cannot be correct, he whispered. The translation must be flawed. But as more passages were decoded, the message became undeniable. The ancient builders weren't just human. They were explicitly leaving messages for future humans who would rediscover their works. They spoke of vast civilizations among the stars, of technologies that bent space and time, and of a deliberate choice to start over. The most shocking revelation came in the final passage they decoded that day. We chose the path of renewal over the burden of empire. Let our children grow strong in simple worlds before they inherit the stars again. The galaxy will be safer when humanity returns with wisdom rather than just power. As the implications sank in, Sarah realized they weren't just archaeologists anymore. They were witnesses to a truth that could rewrite galactic civilization. The supposedly primitive humans weren't newcomers to the cosmic community. They were the return of its eldest children. The ancient ruins hummed with increasing energy as night fell, as if responding to the presence of their intended audience. Tomorrow would bring new discoveries, but Sarah already knew that nothing would ever be the same again. When the past becomes present, the next morning brought discoveries that challenged the very foundation of galactic civilization. As the joint human-Zephyrian team descended deeper into the ancient complex, the architecture became increasingly sophisticated. Corridors lined with self-illuminating crystalline panels led to vast chambers that defied conventional physics. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a massive circular chamber whose walls were covered in flowing animated hieroglyphs that seemed to respond to her presence. "The energy readings here are off the charts," she called to Scholar Vextar, who had remained conspicuously quiet since the previous day's revelations. The Zephyrian's skin had remained a troubled shade of pale blue for hours. "Dr. Chen," he said finally, "I must share something with you. These energy signatures, they are not unknown to us." Sarah turned to face him fully. "What do you mean?" Vexitar's translator hesitated before rendering his response. "The foundational technologies of Zephyrian civilization. We have always believed they were gifts from an ancient precursor race. Our most sacred texts speak of the first wanderers who taught our ancestors to reach for the stars." "And now?" Sarah prompted. "Now I fear we may have been learning from you all along." Before Sarah could respond to this stunning admission, Kira's voice echoed from deeper in the chamber. "Dr. Chen, you need to see this immediately." They followed Kira's voice to what appeared to be the complex's central hub. The circular room was dominated by a raised platform containing what could only be described as a cosmic map. Three-dimensional projections of star systems rotated slowly in the air, with paths of light connecting various worlds. "It's a galactic navigation system," Kira explained, excitedly. "But look at the dates." She pointed to streams of data flowing beside each star system. "This shows colonization patterns going back over 100,000 years. Sarah studied the display more closely and felt her worldview shift once again. The map showed waves of expansion from a central point, Earth, reaching out to establish colonies throughout the galaxy. Many of the worlds shown as early human settlements were planets she recognized as the current homeworlds of various alien species. "This is impossible," Scholar Vextar whispered. "According to this map, humans established colonies on Zephyr Prime 90,000 years ago." Captain Torres, who had been monitoring the excavation from his command post, chose that moment to enter the chamber. His expression was grim. "Dr. Chen, we're receiving automated signals from all over the complex. Something is waking up." As if summoned by his words, the central platform began to glow with increasing intensity. The holographic star map expanded and shifted, focusing on their current location. A new voice filled the chamber, ancient, wise, and unmistakably human. "Welcome home, children of Earth." The assembled team stood frozen as a translucent figure materialized above the platform. It appeared human, but possessed an ageless quality that spoke of vast experience and knowledge. Its eyes held the depth of someone who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. "I am the Keeper," the figure continued, "the last guardian of the memory cores left by your ancestors, our people, when they chose to begin again." Sarah found her voice first. "You're an artificial intelligence, left behind by ancient humans?" "I am memory made manifest," the Keeper replied, "created to wait for the day when humanity would return to claim its heritage. That day has finally come." Scholar Vextar stepped forward, his skin now cycling through rapid patterns of confusion and awe. Ancient human colonization. It would explain so much. The technological jumps in our early history, the similarities between distant species. The Keeper turned its attention to the Zephyrian. Scholar Vextar of Zephyr Prime, descendant of the Terran Colony 7. Your people have preserved much of the ancient knowledge, though you forgot its source. Descended from humans? Vextar's translator struggled with the concept. But we are so different. 100,000 years of evolution in different environments will change any species, the keeper explained. Your crystalline appearance developed from genetic modifications designed to help your ancestors survive Zephyr Prime's unique radiation environment, but your core genome remains unmistakably human. Sarah felt the weight of galactic history settling on her shoulders. How many species? How far did ancient humanity spread? The keeper gestured, and the star map expanded to show the full scope of ancient human civilization. Hundreds of worlds lit up with colonization markers. 80% of what you now call alien species are your distant cousins, evolved descendants of ancient human colonies. The revelation was staggering. The galactic community that modern humanity had joined as newcomers was actually a reunion with their own forgotten family. Why? Captain Torres asked. Why abandon such a vast civilization to start over? The keeper's expression grew solemn. Power corrupts, even when wielded by the well-intentioned. Ancient humanity had become stagnant, complacent. The empire was vast but hollow. Our leaders made the difficult decision to preserve the best of human nature by allowing our descendants to rediscover wonder, curiosity, and the drive to explore. They destroyed their own empire? Kira asked, incredulous. They transformed it, the keeper corrected. The colonies were allowed to develop independently, their histories and origins gradually forgotten. Meanwhile, Earth was restored to a pre-technologist Cal state, allowing humanity to evolve socially and ethically while retaining its genetic potential. Sarah understood the implications immediately. So, when modern humans finally reached the stars again, you would do so as explorers and diplomats rather than conquerors. You would build relationships with your own descendants without knowing they were family. The galaxy would have diversity and unity. The chamber filled with a warm, golden light as more systems came online throughout the complex. Ancient computers that had slept for 50 millennia began accessing vast databases of knowledge and technology. What happens now? Scholar Vextar asked. If this truth becomes known, it will change everything. Some species will embrace the connection, others will feel deceived or diminished. The keeper nodded gravely. That choice belongs to you. The knowledge can remain buried, allowing the galactic community to continue as it has, or it can be revealed, bringing both unity and upheaval. Sarah looked around at her team. Marcus wore his military strategist expression, clearly calculating the geopolitical implications. Kira's eyes shone with the excitement of discovery, while Vextar's skin continued its confused color cycling. There's a third option, Sarah said slowly. We reveal the truth gradually, to those ready to hear it. Use this knowledge to build bridges rather than create chaos. The keeper smiled. Spoken like a true daughter of the original explorers. The complex's knowledge banks are now open to you. Take what you can use responsibly, share what will help others, and guard what might cause harm. As the ancient AI began to fade, it left them with one final message. Remember, the strength of humanity has never been in standing alone, but in bringing out the best in others. Your ancestors scattered their children among the stars not to rule them, but to learn from them, make them proud. The silence that followed was profound. They stood in the presence of technologies that could revolutionize civilization, holding secrets that could unite or divide the galaxy. The weight of such responsibility was immense. Scholar Vextar was the first to speak, his skin finally settling into a warm golden hue. I propose we begin with our own species. If Zephyrians and humans can work together as family, others will follow our example. Sarah nodded, feeling the truth of it. We'll need to be careful. Share knowledge that helps, withhold what might harm. Build trust gradually. Captain Torres stepped forward. From a security standpoint, this makes humanity the most significant power in the galaxy overnight. We need to handle this responsibility carefully. Not power, Sarah corrected. Responsibility. We're not conquering anything. We're reuniting a family that forgot it was related. As they prepared to leave the ancient complex, carrying with them artifacts and knowledge that would reshape their understanding of the universe, Sarah felt the weight of history and the promise of the future in equal measure. The galaxy had always been humanity's home. Now, finally, humanity was ready to be its guardian once again. The Ancient Ones had returned not as conquerors, but as the wise elder siblings they had always been meant to be. The stars themselves seemed to welcome them home.